Okay, so we go to question 7. So question seven is asking us to explain one method used to optimize cloud costs. So the whole thing is about optimizing cloud costs. Okay, so we'll understand each term and then answer the question. So what does optimize mean? So optimize means use something efficiently to avoid waste. Use something efficiently to avoid waste or reducing unnecessary spending. So it's just basically to reduce unnecessary expenses or spending. Okay. So how can companies reduce unnecessary cloud expenses? So that's where the whole thing is lying. So we are told to explain one method used to optimize costs. So by what that question means is basically telling us to say, how can companies reduce unnecessary cloud expenses? Okay, so one way that companies can reduce on spending much money or spending unnecessary. Okay, so to avoid spending expense to avoid spending things or our expenses unnecessarily, what we would do in cloud computing, there is what we call auto scaling. Okay, so what is auto scaling, or what does auto scaling do in cloud computing? So in cloud computing, if we want to reduce on our expenses, we put our services on auto scaling. So when we put our services or our products on auto scaling, meaning that when work increases, more resources are added automatically without uh, ourselves doing a manual work. It's automatic. A system will automatically increase more resources based on based on the workload. Okay, so when there's an increase in the workload, more resources are added. When there's a decrease in workload, resources are reduced. So the reason why it's auto scaling, you find that when you have more work, of course you would need more space for to handle these workloads. And when work when there's less work, you the system would reduce the resources. Why? Because you can't be spending much money. Imagine this: you're running a business, and of course your business hasn't picked up yet. It hasn't picked up. Your work is still down there. So you can't afford to pay for the resources that you're not using. So you only pay for what you are using. In short, you only pay for what you are using. Okay, so that's about auto scaling. So it increases when there's too much workload, it decreases when there's less workload. Imagine this: you're running a website online. When there's too much traffic, when there's a lot of traffic, like a lot of people are accessing that website, by default, or when we when so when a lot of people are accessing your website, automatically the servers will be added to that website to accommodate that traffic, because the more people are accessing it, there's too much it gets flooded. So too much traffic is at its peak. Therefore, the system will automatically add more servers so that your website doesn't crash, or it doesn't tend to be slowing down. Okay. Okay, I would give a scenario. When you go to watch soccer, you find that they'll hire a lot of security guards, a hundreds of workers why? Because you are likely to receive a lot of people to watch a particular match. But if at all there is no game, it's just players training and there's a coach, there's no need of you hiring 500 security guards. What for? Because there is there are less people, it's less congested. And when you look at it in terms of security, you only need about maybe two security guards to monitor the whole stadium when when it's time for the training sessions. But in a case that there's a match, you would hire more security guards because you'll be handling a lot of people. Okay, so that's about auto scaling. That's how you auto scale when you have a match. Of course, there will be a lot of people. You hire more security guards. When there's no match, it's just training session. Of course, there wouldn't be too much people at a training session. So meaning you don't need those 500 security guards or a lot of workers. So that's how it works, even in cloud computing. The the more resources you, the more workload you have with your business, the more server spaces, yeah, the more server spaces are allocated to your products. Okay. So the more resources are allocated to your products. Okay, so we have another question which says, why is auto scaling important? So auto scaling helps us to save more money. You only pay for what you need. What's not necessary, you don't pay for it, because it will waste your resources. Okay, number two, it prevents waste, so resources are not sitting idle. So you you only pay for what you need. What you don't need, you just you don't pay for it. So you only pay for what you use. So I wanted to do question 8, but question 8 I'll leave it for you. So it will be your task, because it's asking about to distinguish between public and private models, of which we talked about these models in a particular question. So this is your research. You research about the difference in terms of ownership and accessibility. So I'll dive in direct to go and look at question 10, question 9 and 10. Okay,